Welcome to the Victorian Studio. This is the place where I do my crafting and where I do my work for my shop, my Victorian Studio shop on Etsy. It's a very small room, it's just 8 by 10, but it's plenty big enough for me to do what I like to do, my crafting and artwork. The first thing I wanted to show you was behind the door to the room, and that's a shoe organizer. I think I got this at Winners, but I thought it's the perfect place to store project bags that I've collected over the years of knitting, and some I've purchased and some I've sewn up myself, and there's a couple that my daughter has sewn and gifted to me as well. And that brings us to the closet of the room. And the first thing I did was take the doors off the closet. I put this shelving unit in there, and it serves as storage area for my yarn stash. And on the bottom, you'll see I have some project bags, and those are my current works in progress that I have in there. These are some really huge sock blockers we found at an antique store. They are more like for full stockings. And that's a vintage McCoy string holder. And next I'll take you to a new area that I've set up for my shop. And basically it's just one corner of the room that I've set aside for storing my tools and supplies and inventory for my Victorian Studio shop. These 4 cabinets are about the only things that in the room that are plastic. Most of the other things around here are either wood or glass. Here on the other side is where I have some of my tools, and also I store at least one of every style charm that I've made so far on this 3-tiered stamp holder. So this is great because it spins around, and when I make a new charm I'll just clip it on here. So that I'm now using these 6 drawers for my tools and supplies for my shop. So I'll just show you inside some of these. These this top 2 store Sculpey, different colors obviously. And then some that I've already made up some colors in the back. And this one holds some tools. I use those tiles to sculpt on, which comes in handy. This is just some miscellaneous things for epoxy. Those are some wooden pots to do some more plants with, and other items that I've made up. This one is has sculpting molds in it. So if I do a master of something, I will then mold it so that I can make duplicates pretty easy. So that's where I keep those. And then on this drawer I have dishes, miniature dishes. So I have plates, glassware, not real glass, plastic, little muffin tins. Those are real metal. Yeah, all kinds of things, the beer mugs for the beer that I do, all those kind of things. So they're all in there. And then underneath, again for shipping, I have bubble wrap and twine that I put around all of the boxes. Some twine with a charm. I have my Varathane so I can seal my charms with. And I also have some more in here. But I love using these old boxes. And these trays have stock for my shows. So they're already on cards. And I thought, why take them off again? They'll be ready for the next show. So I have a few trays of those, and they're so easy then to just carry to the next shows. Underneath that is some Sculpey. And in these drawers, I've got some business cards and card backers. Those have instructions on how to take care of your charms. Let's see, and in here, yeah, I have some postcards for my shop that I'm going to be using, and some hangers and wire for hanging the charms when they're drying after I've Varathaned them. And under here I have my Copic Refills. You'll see the Copics a little bit later. A pasta roller, twine that I use on some of my charms, you know, pieces of wood, alcohol markers, that kind of thing. With some more supplies like epoxy, TLS, my Dremel, and other things that I need for making charms. And somebody's decided to join us. Hi, how are you? That's your spot, isn't it? This, I have a sewing table in my studio, and I cover it with this Hudson Bay blanket so that Dakota can lay down while I'm crafting at the desk. But more often than not, I'll find her sitting on my chair. As soon as I leave my chair, she decides that's her spot. Right? Right. But when I am working, though, she does lay down on her blanket. And she's almost always in this room with me. Okay, so back to the tour. So in that vintage suitcase that I have in the corner here is some of the knitting that I've done that I haven't really anywhere else to put right now. I'll just put like shawls and things that maybe are out of season in there, and then that has my Gryffindor tie and scarf on there right now. This cabinet here, I used to have an aquarium on. We got it for $20 at a sale at an antique shop, but I refinished it myself. I just stripped it down. It was pretty sad looking, but it does its job here. It stores a lot of things. I'm not going to open up all the drawers. I mean, some of it is just extra storage stuff. I have stamps in there. So I have some stamps on my desk as well, but it's nice to have room to put some of the other stamps in there. I love decorating my room with antiques from around the Victorian era. So I have this old scale and top hat and old book that we use when we're doing displays for shows. In these drawers I store some beads and other vintage stuff. So this is just a whole collection of beads that I got from Michael's, and these are great to add to charms. Some of my cupcakes have some of those beads on them. This drawer stores some vintage sewing items. So old thimbles and threads and pins and notions, some neat stuff. Needle threader. Lots of different stuff that we end up finding when we're out at antique stores. A little pin holder. I'll show you some other pins later that are really old. This has just some twine in it, of course, that I use for other crafting. And then this set of 4 drawers here also has sewing storage, snaps and zippers. So this is mostly sewing stuff. I'll use these things when I'm making project bags or notions or DPN holders. All kinds of threads. I have a whole basket of threads in the basement that my mom passed on to me. And then some nice lace. And again, it's just some other miscellaneous collections to decorate the room. I love these old antique watches. And an old little toy sewing machine that really works. It's a Singer. Here's the pins I wanted to show you. Handmade pins from 1806. I thought that's pretty cool. But I love these little pin cushions as well. This one with a squirrel. And then this one my daughter gave me. I think it's a little mouse. So I thought that was really cute. And I have other sewing notions in these as well. Some blocking pins and that kind of thing. So that's on top of those drawers. And up above here and underneath my clock, this is a autograph I got from Tim Holtz. If you're a crafter, you know who Tim is. And Mario signed it as well. I got that back in 2014 when I was doing some of his classes. So he was very sweet. He was always commenting on my work, and so I asked if I could get a photo for my craft room of him. So what I did was when I received the photo, I made this box out of a lot of the Tim Holtz items, of course, and made this special display box to put it in. And if you do know Tim, he's a great lover of everything vintage and steampunk and that kind of thing as well. So right up his alley for style. Oh, and this picture on the wall is a map of the city I live in, Winnipeg, circa 1884. And I thought that was pretty cool. I got that as a gift from hubby one year for my birthday. So I love that in here. Some of the other things underneath the clock on this little shelf. I made this shelf myself. I found these beautiful brackets at an antique shop and just stained a piece of wood myself and made this. But this is really neat. This I got from my parents. It's an autograph book from, I think it's like the 1800s, early 1900s. So, and it has some entries in it. It's not all full, but it does have some entries. Yeah, that's from 1884. Let's see if we can find some others. 1886. And I think this was given to one of my grandmothers when she was getting married. This one's 1885. So yeah, there's a bunch of different signatures and messages in there. That's really quite neat. I love that. That's a real treasure of our families that I'm really proud to have. And this is just a sculpture I made of some clock gears. Thought that was kind of cool. This is a plate that daughter and I found at an antique shop that's no longer in business, unfortunately. Whenever we would go down to the States, we would visit, I can't even remember what it was called. I think it was something dairy down near, on the way from Fargo to Minneapolis. It was in Albertville. And as I said, it's no longer there. But when we saw this plate, I knew we had to pick it up, because on the back it has to Mrs. Bell, Merry Christmas from Flossie, and it's dated 1905. I thought that was pretty neat. I thought they were so cute, those little mice. I just love that. I love that plate. That's a little model of a spinning wheel that actually turns around. That's from Quebec. And my Candlestick Phone. I just love this phone. I bought this years ago, and it's a real Candlestick Phone. Still has the phone number on it. And it's so heavy. It's Bakelite, and it's really, really heavy. And it's sitting on a phone bell. You'd have these in your house, and the bells would go off when your line was dialed. So that was pretty cool. And some vintage postcards down here, beside a bunch of books that I have. I have all the Ply magazines and some other knitting books, that kind of thing, some of my journals. And this cabinet also stores my paints and my painting supplies, so both oils and acrylics. It also has my pencil crayons and non-Copic markers. This cabinet was great. Found this at one of the stores. Anything with drawers that I can store stuff in, I love. So my oils, acrylics. There's more acrylics down here, and then also all of my pastels. So the pastels I use for coloring in my charms. And again, some canvas and papers and that kind of thing, and different markers, distress markers, other markers, pencil crayons, and yeah, so this is a great place. Easy to pull all those out. And then I have a collection of vintage plates and bowls and that kind of thing that I use when I'm working on projects as well. If you've seen my video of my room before, you'll know Maggie. That's my mannequin. It's not a Victorian mannequin, but it is, I think, from the 1970s. And so that's my wedding dress on there. I didn't wear that hat. I put the hat on there when I set her up to display. But that dress is my wedding dress, which is a dress that I sewed myself back in 1980. And one of the big things that I did for this room recently is redo this corner so that I could store my spinning wheel, my CPW, that's Canadian production wheel, and that's about 100 to 150 years old, and it's working. It's in working condition. It spins beautifully, and I just love it. And it's great because I can just pull it out whenever I want to spin. So easy to get to. So on this shelf here, I have a few spinning supplies, but also some other decor, that some vintage spinning items. I also have my 2 Turkish spindles there as well. And over top of that is a display that I set up when I was doing more scrapbooking, card making, and that kind of thing. And that is all different glitters. What I did was every time we went to a store, or thrift store, antique store, I would pick up some salt and pepper shakers, hopefully crystal ones or glass. And yeah, I store my glitter in those. And I think they make a beautiful display. And that sugar and creamer up there is from when we visited the Titanic exhibit. Those are first class reproductions of the china on the Titanic. And this flag here is a real Union flag from the UK that used to fly in Ottawa. And let's see, this is a shelf under the window, of course, for the cats to look outside. Right now it's pretty frosty out there, but they love to sit on this shelf and look outside into the backyard. And on it, I just thought this looked so steampunk. It's actually a fruit core, I believe. Fruit slicer core. I just thought it looks so very steampunk that it would be a cool piece just to have on display. Luckily the cats don't bother it. It looks deadly, but it's not. Well, miss, how am I supposed to show that desk with you sitting there? This is a desk that I just refinished in black that I had for a while, and it's just got a single drawer full of just office supplies, so I'm not going to bother opening that up. But it's great to have in here because I have a dedicated toaster oven for baking my charms. I don't like to use an oven that we would be using for food. So yeah, I have this oven right in here that I can cook my charms as soon as I make them. And on top of there I have an antique ball string holder, and I use that for taking photos of my charms, and I'm going to be doing a bunch more. That's why I have it set up right now. And in the Pepsi Cola container, it's, you can just carry around your bottles of Pepsi in. Many years ago, I just have my collection of vintage buttons. And over here I've utilized 2 old silver coffee urns to put my brushes and other supplies in. So that brings us around to the desk area, and Dakota again in her favorite spot. So this is where I sit to work on the computer. I make my charms here, do all my crafting here. A few other things repurposed again, items for storing supplies. You know, especially on that Lazy Susan with some vintage items. And a lot of the stuff you'll see here is Harry Potter inspired, so since I started the Harry Potter knit along a few years ago, I got out some of the items that we still had of daughter's Harry Potter collection, so you'll see a bunch of things. I made a bulletin board out of an old vintage frame. I just added some cork to it, and that way I can just put items up there that I wanted to display. So there's my Copics, and again, some Harry Potter decor, and Gryffindor, of course. And so if you watch my video podcasts, you'll know this background pretty well. And these drawers are great for, again, storing all my supplies. This Watchmakers Cabinet is wonderful for storing things like, eye pins and other jewelry findings. This is an antique rubber band container. So yeah, it's really beautiful. And these drawers, of course, hold miscellaneous stuff like glues and papers and adhesives and tape and that kind of thing. And then I have some more tools down here, things that I would use for crafting and for making my charms, of course. I have a moleskin in here, some carving tools, that kind of thing. I just love having these old cabinets. I was very lucky to find a lot of them, either in antique shops or even on eBay. I much prefer those to plastic. And over my desk, you don't usually see this on the podcast, I have 2 shelves. And the top one I've just recently redone. I've put my collection of knitted toys that I've created. So that's where they're sitting now. I used to have them up above my yarn stash in the closet, but I thought I'd bring them out here so they can be seen a little bit easier. And then on the lower shelf is my Harry Potter themed apothecary. I have a video on how I made that. And then over here is a collection of vintage supplies, like stationery supplies, ink, that kind of thing. There's other items like matches and brush cleaner and things like that, but I just love the graphics on these old supplies. Yeah, so that's my desk area. And as I said, I have this sewing desk. Beside it, that's with the paper towels on it. That's a butcher paper dispenser. So in the old shops and that, they would wrap everything in brown butcher paper and twine, and that's what that is. So I just store paper towels on there, so they're easy at hand when I'm crafting. And then another cabinet that I hold some of my electronics in for when I'm podcasting, or for my phone or my laptop. And that's a vintage sewing desk, and it's great because it also, the top flips off, like flips to the side, so I have double the width if I wanted to. When I'm crafting, it has this Hudson Bay blanket for the cats to join me in. They nap there while I'm working. So the front of the sewing desk, I have some more project bags. These are the Harry Potter ones that I have. Some of them have projects in them, some of them are empty right now. So yeah, so that's basically a general overview of my room. The only other thing I guess I didn't show you is underneath the desk I have some wicker baskets of supplies, my printer, my sewing machine, and some footrests. Under that desk I also have a vintage box with supplies in it, as well as a milk crate holder with some old jars of supplies as well. So, and often you'll find Dakota taking a nap in that basket. Sometimes I'll throw a towel in there so she can sit in there. So yeah, I guess that's my craft room / studio / happy place where I come after work and spend the majority of my time. So I hope you enjoyed seeing where I work and this updated tour. And if you have any questions or comments, let me know. If there's anything that I've forgotten to mention that you wanted more information about, just send me a message either through Ravelry or by commenting below. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed seeing this, and we'll see you on the next podcast. Bye-bye, everyone.